Autumn 1930, two men vanished into Sikkim's wild valleys, chasing a forbidden peak, and nearly lost everything. In October 1930, G.B. Gourlay and W. Evernden obtained a month's leave and decided to travel to Lhonak, inspired by accounts from the International Himalayan Expedition. Their goal was to climb Lhonak Peak, but they planned a trip rich in mountain scenery and exploration. From Calcutta, they traveled by rail to Siliguri, then motored to Gangtok. Reaching Lachen at 8,800 feet took 5 days. Lachen, a small village under the snowy ridge of Lama Anden, was inhabited by Lopas, Bhutanese Tibetan herdsmen who served as reliable porters when given notice. Supplies, such as potatoes, sheep, and apples, were available with prior arrangement through the Sikkim Durbar's general secretary. There were 2 routes to Lhonak. The direct Zemu Gorge path was short but difficult, involving mud-filled holes, waterlogged rhododendron thickets, and fallen trees. The longer but more attractive route led via Tangu and the Lungnak 17,300 feet. The pair chose the latter for its scenery. They reached Tangu, then ascended through rocky slopes to cross the Lungnak in a snowstorm. Descending into a valley reminiscent of a highland glen, they camped at Makotang on the Naku Chu, marking the edge of Lhonak proper. From Makotang, they followed long, bare valleys with occasional meadows and mountain vistas. 2 days' march brought them to Goma at 16,500 feet, near the glaciers of Jonang, Lhonak, and Dodang peaks. Here they made base camp, noting signs of a previous climbing party. Lhonak Peak, 21,460 feet, stood north of Jonang Peak. Deciding first to attempt Choten Nema Peak via its eastern plateau, they camped at 19,000 feet, but found the summit inaccessible due to a steep, icy ridge. The climb, however, improved their acclimatization. Returning to Goma, they prepared to attempt Lhonak Peak, estimating 4 days to the summit and back. On October 9th, with 5 porters and 2 mead tents, they marched over moraine to Camp 1. The next day, they followed the Lhonak Glacier past a lake dammed by ice, reaching Camp 2 under Lhonak Peak. That afternoon, they prepared a route over rocky pitches for porters to reach the snow slope to the col. On October 11th, they ascended to the col at midday, but with clouds threatening snow, they pitched Camp 3rd there. The next morning, in worsening weather, they set out for the summit with 2 porters, cutting steps up steep slopes. Progress was slow, so they established Camp 4 on a small patch higher up. With limited food and fuel, they made a final attempt on October 13th. Delayed by cold, they started at 7:35 a.m. in cloud and wind. Lewa led steadily, negotiating crevasses by traversing right. A final 45-degree slope brought them to the summit at 12:30 p.m. Visibility was minimal, so they descended quickly, reaching Camp 2 by late afternoon. The next morning, both Lewa and Nema suffered snow blindness. Nema recovered quickly, but Lewa, in pain, had to be carried by Thesang over rough terrain and glacier torrents back to base camp. With 2 days remaining, Gourlay explored southward towards the snow fields between Lhonak and the Zemu valleys, camping in the Langpo Valley. The next day, he climbed to 19,000 feet, hoping for a Zemu Valley view, but clouds obscured it, except for a fleeting glimpse of Sinyolchu. Clear skies to the west revealed a line of peaks, including Kangchen Junga, Kangbachan, Langpo, Jonsong, Lhonak, and Dodang Nema. Rejoining the main party, they crossed the Lungnak in deep, fresh snow, descended to Tangu, and eventually returned to Gangtok. The expedition had achieved its objective despite 2 cloudy summit days, leaving both climbers satisfied. Gourlay later recorded practical details for future travelers: routes, porter arrangements, rations, transport, packing methods, and costs, emphasizing the value of preparation for high-altitude travel in Upper Sikkim.